Book 2, A Journey to Real Freedom, Part 18. Wow, I thought, I am really here. As I continued to watch, I could see all the beautiful lights coming from the city, illuminating the sky and disappearing into the wide open vastness. Then there appeared a huge body of water all about the central reality of this wondrous experience. It was a giant ocean with many lights reflecting from it. "The big ocean," I said out loud. "It's the big ocean, the place that I came from." Actually, this is one of the many oceans that are in life, young Duane. You came from the real ocean that exists many levels beyond this one, which are known as the real UNUverses, said the man. "I did," I said, "and that place is a heaven too?" I asked. "The real UNUverses are beyond the heavens and gods of man. ReBISAR will be your guide this lifetime, along with the other real guides, and someday you will know all," he said as he smiled. Wow, I thought, there are more heavens then than this one. How many are there? As I began to wonder in my imagination. More than you can count. But the whole of life is far too big for the little minds of the lower realms to comprehend. So the real guides have brought about certain knowledge to keep the embodied souls in balance with what is termed nature. All of this is far too much for you at this time, but someday your time will come to know far more than anyone you know. And as he was saying this to me, suddenly I felt a tug on my arm and found myself back on Earth with Mum. "Wake up, sweetie, wake up," said Mum. "Let's get something to eat. I'm very hungry, aren't you?" No, I thought, not at all. I was almost where I wanted to be. Anyhow, I think I was. Why does she have to wake me up when she is hungry? I know that it's great to have my dream time, but why do I have to come back here? this was something I had to figure out, especially since this outer life was becoming a hassle. She had already parked the car, and so I reluctantly followed Mum out of the car, and we went into another restaurant, and this time it looked a lot more friendly, without all the truckers. As we were walking in, I was again thinking about and seeing my dream experience, and how close I was to the big ocean. I would rather have stayed there, near the ocean, than eat, and there was nothing I could do but go along with what Mum wanted. She was the big person, and I was still the little guy. I was rather frustrated with all this, but I went along with what she asked, because she was Mum. We had a great meal, and then we were on our way again. As we were driving, Mum told me we were going to live in a place called Los Angeles. Actually, right outside of it, she said, a place called a suburb. I was still too young to understand all that was going on in this place, but I knew in time I would. All of this does sound rather funny, coming from a little kid who just came to the earth from who knows where. But I knew I had a real purpose this lifetime, and the first part was to get to the Pacific Ocean. As we continued to drive along, I was still really riveted by the experience I had earlier. It seemed as though it was still a ways to where Mum and I were going, so I decided to go back into my own dream world and have fun. I suddenly found myself walking along a dirt path that was leading up to a hilltop. For a moment, I was wondering where I was going and why. Then, for some reason, I got this hint that the ocean might be on the other side of this hill. I began to walk very briskly. As I was walking, the entire area around me began to expand, as though the terrain was being magnified. The more steps I took, the higher I would go, many times over. As the scene enlarged, the ground became a spread of the most luscious green grass that I had ever seen. It instantly began appearing everywhere, along with majestic-looking palms that seemed to be perfectly placed in different arrangements, along with all kinds of colourful vegetation and flowers. I finally got myself to the top of the hill, and all I could see was the beautiful blue sky. There was nothing but the sky all around me. It was all so perfect. I stood there for a moment and just looked up at the wondrous openness and all the blue colouring in awe of it. I had never seen such a perfectly clear sky. The sun was a big ball of pure light in the great openness, with nothing around it, just a bluish clarity. I felt free and clear of everything. The sun was neither hot nor cold, and I could stare straight into it. It was great, looking over this whole experience. There was something about this scene that haunted me. The magnificent sun was so isolated and so distant that it brought about a sense of loneliness in a seemingly perfect setting. How could this be? I thought to myself. As I was looking up, I heard the sound of something from somewhere. I looked around, but I couldn't see anything. Then I looked back up into the sky, and I saw something coming from the sun. As it came closer, I started to make out a form of someone who appeared to be flying. Then I saw who it was. It was ReBISAR, on a beautiful white horse that had large wings. He also had another horse with him that was not quite as big as the one he was on. Within a matter of moments, they landed right beside me on the lush green hill. This was an amazing experience for me, just like being in a fantasy movie, which I had not seen yet, but I was imagining my own production of one. "Hello, little friend," he said, with his robust voice and gesture. I was so surprised and overwhelmed to see him, along with the horses. He was all smiles, and so happy to see me. "Hello, sir," I said, feeling just thrilled to be where I was. "I have brought you a new friend, so that we can fly over the great ocean of life together," he said, with his strong being. I was so excited and surprised that I couldn't speak, as I was considering how he had appeared and what he brought. I looked down from the hilltop and saw that a wonderful blue ocean was now suddenly all around us. There was no longer any land mass or dirt, but only green plush lawns that stretched near the water, along with a softly glowing golden sand to the water's edge. We were standing on a mountain with the most beautiful blue ocean all around us. The brilliant sun was shining from the sky and creating a wonderful array of dancing lights upon the water that was truly alive. The scene was surreal and fantasy-like, creating an essence of peacefulness and tranquility. I walked over to the horse and slowly put my hands on his head, softly petting him. He was very calm and seemed to know what to do. He was so beautiful, with his sparkling blue eyes. It was hard for me to believe that he was real. I stared at his wings and was amazed at how beautiful he was. "He is yours," said ReBiSar, with a big smile on his face. "Really?" I said. "Thank you, sir," and leapt onto his back. "Let us fly over the great ocean of life," said ReBiSar, with his wonderful voice and mannerism. "Okay, great," I said as I got on him.